Okay, I think we are recording now. Well, welcome everybody. I'm Wendy Briley and I am the chair of the reentry team. And before we get going, I just want to explain what our format will be for the FAQ session. We invited people to submit questions prior to the session, and we will address all of those questions as they were submitted and as our team has decided to answer. And then we will open up the rest of the session to some questions from anyone who would like, or anything that they would like to ask us as well. I'll give a brief overview as to what the reentry team was designed and its purpose. So Christy had asked the people that are serving on this team to help with the reentry after the pandemic. And as we started to look at what worship was going to be looking like, what the church campus was going to be looking like, how we could come back to campus safely, all of those things that we have had to deal with in the past few months, going through this really difficult time. I can say that it has been our primary concern, and what has been guiding our decision making is the do no harm. And that we wanted to make sure that as we were considering reentry, that we were mindful of everyone and their thoughts on what this pandemic meant for them and their safety. And that not everyone is feeling the same way, and that our role as the reentry team was to try and consider everyone and do what was best, or what we envisioned would be best, and to serve everyone as best we could. With that being said, we are in phase 2.5 as per Governor Cooper. What does that mean? It really doesn't mean much of a difference from when we were in phase 2, but the question that our team gets asked all the time is, when will we be able to get on campus and worship? Right now, according to the governor's directives, we do have limits to mass gatherings, and the limits right now are 25 people indoors and 50 people outdoors. So having worked with Christy and Grayson and the pastoral team, they've been just working with not only the worship committee, all of the praise committee, all of those things, trying to offer as many opportunities for the congregation as possible to experience worship, to be connected, and just to note some of the things that they have right now is an outdoor worship experience that was offered last Sunday, that is being offered this Sunday, and then next Sunday as well. We're also working on Wednesdays beginning September 23rd of having a music and meditation. It will be in the sanctuary from 10 to 10:30 a.m. All of these require sign up, and we'll go over that a little bit later in the FAQ. Smith will be talking to that as far as what does it mean in case we have somebody that does have a positive COVID. So at this time, what we will do is, let me let Charles in, sorry. One other thing that we did, that has come up in the questioning of why we are not gathering for worship immediately or right now is a lot of the things that as our team were thinking about worshiping together. Worship just doesn't come together. Pastor Christy or Pastor Grayson just doesn't say, hey, I'm going to go in Sunday and worship. It requires teams. And those teams could be the worship committee, it could be the ushers, it could be the greeters. Not everyone on those teams are at the same comfort level of participation, and we are mindful of that as well. So in order to be able to have worship, we have to have people to fill those roles. And if the people that are normally filling those roles feel uncomfortable, we certainly want to honor that and give them the ability to not feel left out And we also want to have, the ability to have people who do feel comfortable, want to be able to volunteer and maybe serve in those roles. So that's just a broad overview as to what our team has been tasked to do. At this time, we'll just move on to the questions that have been submitted. So the first question, of course, was when we'll be able to worship together. And I think we, just talked about that a little bit, that we are in the process of offering some outdoor worship experiences. We are moving cautiously, and we are following all directives by Governor Cooper, Bishop Ward, and those guide us in all of the decision making that we are offering. And so Christy and Grayson and the worship committee have all been working together to create those experiences. So we will offer, of course, online worship like we've been doing, which has been serving so wonderfully. And then moving on to the outdoor worship experiences that we just mentioned. And then hopefully, as we watch, of course, as we're moving into these outdoor worship, we're also moving into that time of year when it could be flu starts to hit us again, and maybe, we're experiencing some more with COVID. So we are just ever mindful and trying to adapt as best as possible to offer worship experiences for everyone. So our next question, and this will be answered by Smith Worth, is what are your plans should an outbreak occur at Millbrook?
Thank you, Wendy. So first, all events held at Millbrook will require signing in to ensure that we have a way to contact you if the need were to arise. Notification will be made to all who attended the event in question. Millbrook will also notify the Wake County Health Department and follow their protocol. Question did mention the word outbreak, and so I'll just elaborate that outbreaks are really defined relative to the local context. However, it can be said that during and because of a case investigation and contact tracing, 2 or more contacts are identified as having an active COVID-19 by testing. So 2 or more would be considered an outbreak, but that I don't know that we would anticipate that happening. We'd first know maybe about an individual case. I will say that North Carolina does have a statewide contact tracing team, and their job is to reach out to those who have been exposed to COVID-19 and explain to them how they can keep themselves and others safe and connect them to resources with healthcare if they need it. The goal is certainly to make sure that people are alerted as quickly as possible if there has been a contact with someone who's tested positive. So that would be the reason for contacting the Wake County Health Department. With health and privacy paramount, contact tracers will be unaware of who the COVID positive patient is, and instead they're provided with a roster of persons that are given to the health department were in attendance and possibly exposed. Contact tracers then reach out to them and urge them to either quarantine for 14 days or go get tested, and provide them with information about symptoms. But again, privacy is very important in this process. Your names will not be given to other people, but that is an integral part of fighting the spread of the virus, along with comprehensive testing strategies and social distancing.
Thank you so much, Smith. And Smith has a direct, she works in the Smith, what is it you're directing?
I work for the Department of Health and Human Services, yes. So under public health.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're underplaying it slightly.
Oh, but I have a red phone.
Yeah.
I don't even have it in my mind, but tell us your title.
Well, I'm the State Opioid Treatment Authority for the state, and we've got 20,000 patients right now in treatment. But we also work routinely with the Secretary's office and respond to her. And so we're very much involved with what is going on with this virus right now.
And we've just been so grateful to have Smith's expertise as we as a team navigate and make decisions that are, in the best interest of Millbrook. Thank you so much, Smith.
Sure.
Our next question submitted was, what are the plans for Children's Sunday School and Children's Choir? And Kristen Brickman is going to be answering as she serves on the Children's Council.
Yep. Hey, everybody. You can hear me okay, right?
Yes.
Thumbs up. Okay, good. So we met last week to kind of just feel out the plans for the future of Children's Sunday School and Children's Choir. At this point, we have plans for virtual Sunday school pretty much through the end of the year. In-person Sunday school, we would be looking kind of towards what the preschool is doing, temperature checks, very strict. If your child is sick, they cannot come to Sunday school. And smaller number of children in each class, larger classrooms, that kind of stuff. The plan will be approved by the Safe Millbrook team, and we'll have everything set up, contact tracing and any of that stuff. So that is for in-person Sunday school, which is a long way off. And as far as Children's Choir is going, we are following the recommendations by the bishop of basically no singing on any campuses. Unfortunately, Zoom is not great for virtual children's choir, but we are looking into some other options and stuff. But in-person children's choir, again, is not really a viable option right now and in the near future. And that's pretty much what we have. We are looking at some events coming up for children and families, figuring out a very safe way to do that outdoors. So again, we'll be cleared through the Safe Millbrook committee, but yeah, it's going to be different. But we're looking into just ways for the children to connect with each other and the church.
Thank you so much, Kristen. And then our next question was, what is the plan for confirmation? And I believe Pastor Grayson has spoken with Tanner. Is she on?
She is finishing another Zoom interview for some Facebook posts, but
we'll come back.
We'll come back to that.
So our next question then is, do we have to wear masks on campus? And Sue Carpenter, who is a member of our reentry team, will answer this for us. Are you muted, Sue? I think we need to, let's unmute you.
Okay.
There we go.
Am I unmuted?
You are unmuted.
Okay. All right. It's good to see everybody. Under phase 2.5 that our state's currently under, we are required to wear masks. But in addition to the fact that we're required to wear them, one of the main things that our committee has decided that we want to make sure we do is to do no harm to anyone. And so face masks go right along with that, as well as the fact that as a church, one of the main things we want to do is love our neighbor. And so this, of course, would show love to our neighbor by being very concerned about their health and well-being. So we will definitely be wearing masks to any church function, whether it's inside or just anywhere on campus.
Thank you so much, Sue. Our next question, can small groups gather on campus? And Carl is going to take this one if he is on. Let's see. If he's there. If not, I can take it for him. I don't think he is, so I'll be go ahead and answer that. We are now in the process of accepting facility request forms from small groups. Like we said, we can meet 25 people indoors and 50 outdoors. There is a facility request form that is on the church website. If you look at the main church website, there's a tab that says More. And underneath that tab is the facility request form that we are using during this time. Oh, Grayson's just coming on, perfect timing. So if any small group that meets the threshold of 25 or under and would like to be considered, they can go on and fill out that form, submit it. It goes to the reentry team. We review it, and that way, and then we just get in contact with that small group. There are requirements in order to meet on campus that must be fulfilled, and the small group has to agree to abide by those, and that is, social distancing, wearing masks. We have a guide as to if they use a room, what needs to be done as far as cleaning the room. We provide all of the cleaning supplies and give a really detailed accounting as to how they need to manage that room, meeting there, and then afterwards. Carl is now, it used to be Diana that coordinated all of the facility requests. Carl is now our facility manager. And he is the one, especially now because we are trying to only use as few rooms as possible for exposure. And so it is, important that he is able to do and assign rooms accordingly. So that is the process that we have now. And it's been working very successfully. We've already had, I think we've on our 4th group now that is meeting on campus. And it's been exciting to get those groups back on campus. And I know youth has even made some requests to do some things outside. And it's been wonderful that so many people we're all working together to try to make this connectional and safe as possible. So Grayson, thanks. We're so glad you could hop on this call now. We had gone to your question as to what is the plan for confirmation, if you would want to answer that for us.
Sure. So I know that Tanner has had confirmation on his mind, but I do not know that he knows exactly what that will look like, given that that is typically a spring type of, or I'm assuming it's spring. Is that typically when you guys do it?
Right.
Yeah, I just knew that there was some other hurdles he wanted to jump before making set stone plans for confirmation, see where we're at with the pandemic, with the phases. When I talked to him about this, we weren't even sure when we'd start doing things in person and how those would go. So it just seems a little premature to be making a call one way or the other, if we'll offer it, if we'll postpone it till we can be in person, if we'll do a hybrid, if we'll be on Zoom. It's a little early to tell, but I do know that it's on Tanner's mind. Christy, Tanner, and I emailed today just starting to brainstorm different ideas, who the participants might be, and getting in contact with them about what their preference would be versus waiting versus going ahead on Zoom, or potentially trying to meet some in person. So it's still up in the air, and I know that that's frustrating to hear because everything still seems so up in the air. But I do know, as Wendy just said, has made some exciting proposals and plans to start having different in-person gatherings with youth. So hopefully if those go well, we can look for something exciting for confirmation. But it's in the works. It is a little far in the future for, we plan day by day sometimes, it seems. So the word is, it's not a no, but it's not a yes fully yet either, because we're not quite sure what it'll look like. So we'll be in contact with the parents of confirmation age children and youth, and work with them to come up with what seems fitting for the times and what we think would be the most formative and impactful on these children. Because I know for me, confirmation class was so pivotal in my life and my spiritual development. So we ultimately want to do what will be the most formative and impactful. So we will we will continue to play it by ear and make plans, hopeful yet realistic plans with Tanner moving forward.
Thank you so much, Grayson.
Yeah.
Well, that concludes all of the submitted questions. I think the best way to approach, if anyone who is on this call has a particular question, if you want to just type your name in the chat box, and then I will monitor and we will just call on you and you can ask your question to the team. So if there's anyone that does have a question, just go ahead and type your name in. I'll give a few more minutes. I don't see anybody coming up so far.
I don't know if it would be easier for some folks to just unmute themselves and ask the question.
Maybe so, yeah. If you would just like to unmute yourself and ask a question, that's fine as well. Okay, I did have a question. Carol, did you want to ask that?
Well, if small groups meet outside or on campus, do they have access to the bathrooms, whether it's inside or outside? I'm speaking for the old people who really can't go to, myself included.
Hey, not limited to older people.
I won't ask who said that.
I imagine, yes, if we would have probably one bathroom access that would be accessible that we could monitor and clean. Yes, Carol. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And Carol, that's one of the things that is to just ask if you have a small group and you guys want to meet for 45 minutes or an hour, even if it's outside, and you're like, okay, we need a bathroom, then just ask for that and we will respond. It's less a one size fits all.
Mm-hmm.
There are certain things we need to know, and for example, we're not opening restrooms for like worship, but that might be different for if you have a small group of 5 or 10 people, and we want to respond to the needs while also being safe. So if any group can really ask for what it is they need, and then the Safe Millbrook's team job is to be sure that we safely accommodate it.
Right.
Say yes, no, or if we do this, then if you could help with that, or that kind of thing, if that makes sense. It's a very good question.
Thank you.
And a lot of it has to, especially with Carl, is just knowing who is on the campus and where. And that's why, Carol, to your point, if there was a small group and we, said, yes, of course you can meet and we will allow you to have access to this one bathroom. That way, Carl, we know where people are. We know where the contact has been. We know where to clean. Yes, so we could certainly do that. Mm-hmm. Anybody else have any questions?
Wendy, I think maybe Gina has a question. I've seen her. So if you could unmute her, maybe.
Yes, let me unmute her. Let's see if I can get her unmuted. Oh, it's not letting me unmute her.
Yeah, I think that, you'll have to, oh, you got it.
Okay.
There we go, yay.
Okay, well, the question is, the library has not been opened. People have not touched the books. They certainly aren't going to have to go in there and wet every book in there, are they?
No. The reason why, but with the library, we will not be able to have it open in that we can't probably have people touching all of the books right now, but you're right. Yeah, we are not going to have to go in and probably mass spray them or anything. We probably, I would imagine, not open the library until we have moved into phase 3 or 4. And that unfortunately looks to be a ways off.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just a matter of being able to, like we were saying before, with knowing who is in the building, where they've been, where we can clean and make it safe for everybody. So unfortunately, the library, I think, just lends itself right now to, we don't have
Being closed.
Yeah, unfortunately, I'm sad to say.
Yeah, I understand that, but that's what I wondered, and
I'm sorry, but if you do need resources and you would like access to books or materials, on the North Carolina Conference, they have a library section where you can go in and you can, it's not renting because I believe it's free, isn't it, Christy? Yeah, where you can get resources that you might be able to find in the library, and you can get them yourself from that that website.
okay.
Yeah.
I'm concerned about that. That was my concern.
You understand she's the librarian.
I'm the librarian.
Wonderful.
That's right, Gina. I forgot that. Yeah. Well, and maybe if people are reaching out to you as well, you can let them know that on the North Carolina Conference, there is an actual library source where people can go and get resources if they need them.
Right. And I would think the regular library too.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Wendy?
Go ahead, Carol.
Okay, the Methodist women, of course, we have always had our reading program, but we haven't had access to the books, so we couldn't, be a 18-star group because we couldn't read them. Could not we have one person meet with Carl, get women's books for the last couple years off the shelves, and we have had one person said she'd keep her house, we could go do a porch pickup, and then we could all be reading and getting 20 books read while we have nothing else to do. And then when we returned them, she'd keep them for the same amount of time as the public library is doing right now before somebody else could read. Could that be possible?
You know what, Carol, that might be a great thing if you want to submit that request on the facility request form and let us review it. And yeah, I mean, maybe that would be something that we, could work out for you.
Right, because that way we could get the points for reading that many books, and we have all this time to read and we can't get hold of them.
Yeah, if you don't mind, or whoever, are you in charge of the group?
No, I'm social action. So see, a lot of the books have to do with social action. And it's Evelyn Jones who's in charge right now.
Okay.
So I would tell her to put in a facilities request. All right, thank you very much.
And then also let Evelyn know too, because this could maybe serve your group as well, that on the North Carolina Conference, you can go on to that library source and maybe I don't know, you can download the Kindles, you can, but you can have access to a lot of materials.
Well, since we've paid for all these books and they're sitting there,
yeah,
we've paid several $100s for new books that, for starting January, and nobody's been able to read any of them. So it'd be nice to be able to get them out, use them.
Well, because they're at the church and the church is closed. That's kind of, we want to be creative and safe. So I think that's
somebody going in with a box and picking the books up.
Yep. Have Evelyn submit that, and maybe we can come up with a good plan for y'all.
Gino, first of all, it's so good to see your face. I don't know that we've had the chance to meet before, and I'm so happy to see you. And we have also had a few people that have offered to do some work in the library while it's closed to help you out with your job. And so we can talk about that at another time. But I was a little torn by the number of requests we had, especially for the United Methodist Women's Reading Program early on, because people were, like Carol said, we have time on our hands, want to do our, like the United Methodist Women's book, like, look, if you're looking for something to read and you don't know what to read, look up United Methodist Women's Book Club. Is it called Book Club or Reading List?
Reading program.
Reading program. It is amazing. And so it was wonderful for that desire, and a little heartbreaking to have to say no. So now we're at a point where we're living with this for the short, long term. We don't know how long, but we're now in the we're figuring out how to live with this, and so we want to be safe and also creative. So that's a good question, and we want to be able to help people pursue the good things that nourish their faith while being safe at the same time. So that's a great creative option. Thank you.
Anybody else have any questions? Diane?
Hi. I don't really have a question, but I just wanted to say that I am so thankful for all that the pastors and the staff are doing to make this pandemic, it's different, but we're still able to worship. And it's so important that we are together even in that way. The service this morning was wonderful. And I know, maybe I don't know much about technology, but I know that must be not easy as 1, 2, 3 just to put that together. So thank you all. The Wednesday reflections on our scripture reading, when we got to meet Grayson, and she did Mondays, and I didn't get to see all of them, but it's wonderful. And thank you so much. I know it's a lot of work, and we appreciate it.
Oh, thank you, Diane.
Welcome.
Any other questions?
Am I on or not?
Yep, you're on.
Okay, this is Paul Carter. This is concerning the library. We understand that we've got a new computer in there. Did you lose anything from the old computer? You know?
I don't know that.
Go in and index all our books.
You know what, Christy, I think is on a call right now. I will check with her though, and we'll get back to you and let you know what all was involved with that. Or maybe Christy, are you back on? They wanted to know if there's a new computer in the library and if any transferring of data was lost or all the indexing was still able to be transferred over.
I can neither confirm nor deny.
We'll check into that then.
but Diana knows all, and she's back from vacation, and all our lives will be better.
Well then, Paul, I will reach out to Diana and I will ask that question for you.
Okay. Today is Diana's birthday, by the way.
Oh, well, happy birthday. We'll tell her.
Thank you for the reminder. I'll have to get a card for tomorrow.
Anybody else have any other questions?
She's talking, I think.
Oh, somebody.
It looks like Christy's talking. Pastor Christy's talking.
Oh,
I wanted to go back to worship, prayer, and face-to-face gatherings, and ask again, do you have any questions? And I'll lead in a little bit. Wendy did a good job, but the principles are, we have been wanting to be as safe and as inclusive as possible, because there's no worship service that's face-to-face, no matter how many safety measures we put in place, they will not be inclusive for all of our members because of age, whether they're very young, like Kristen's youngest daughter, who is wonderful and runs everywhere and is very social and maybe can't dance, to a winner, and others who, because of age or at any age, have an underlying condition. And when part of our guiding principles as a church is to be the body of Christ, not only many parts, one body, but that give greater honor to the weak members. We we're in a dilemma because there are people that have a profound desire to safely be on our campus and seeing, even if it's masked from a large distance away, the people that they care about. And people have said to us, like, thank you, we appreciate everything you're doing. But in the end, what they want is their fellow Millbrook brothers and sisters. And so we're trying to balance those by beginning some outdoor worship services. We don't want to, initially, we don't want to advertise them too widely because we don't want more people to come or want to come than we can accommodate. We want them to start small, so we can get the hiccups, what worked well. The very first one that was very small had flags at 6 feet apart. And in the end, I said, that's too close, even though, because you don't know until you see it, right? And so tonight they're going to be 8 feet apart, and we'll have a small group and we'll see something different. We're working with our musicians. I mean, everything we do takes a lot of preparation that's very different than what we've ever done before. And so, but I want to see if you all have any questions about that, or suggestions or feedback. Our plan right now is to do for the Sundays in September, have an evening service. It's intentionally in the evening. We think fewer people will come in the evening than might come in the morning. And we don't want to keep anyone out, but we cannot welcome everyone in. You know, Millbrook averages over 400 people on a normal Sunday morning. Even if we had a fourth of that, it would be too much to be safe. And so we're monitoring that. We're trying to build on our successes. And then we are looking into whether or not then we could begin one online service at 10 o'clock like we're doing now, which that's not accessible to everyone either, because not everyone is technologically has that access. So for those people, we send out pastoral letters. We're working on wireless and where they can call in on the phone and hear the sermon. We're sending sermon notes. We're sending, you know, and then one potentially in a,
Sorry.
okay, I hear you. You don't like that idea? Okay. A morning service that would be outdoors, that could be 25 is the max we've been approved for. And the reason we set up a Safe Millbrook committee is our team is that so that I don't have to manage all these decisions. And I got the idea from other churches, and also because I'm subject to them. I have to put in my proposals the same as anybody else. We've gotten approval for up to 25 outdoors, and we want to build to that. And if we have greater need than that, then we will address it at that time. Last week, we actually canceled the service because we had 7 people signed up an hour before, and that's okay. We did not advertise it widely. We did advertise it wisely, but on purpose, but we invited the council, the worship committee, the praise team, the choir, and this one we put out a little more widely, and we'll see what happens tonight. But we're trying to learn, we're trying to be creative, and we're trying to be safe all at the same time. But I just want to be sure that we make the opportunity to hear from you all, because I think that's important.
Susan, you have a question? I think you need to
I do. I think, you know, for some people, it's been a great opportunity, although we miss being in person. And I was wondering, it'll be a whole new technology from what is being done now, but has any thought been put into, once everything's back to almost normal, has any thought been put into find the technology to live stream one of the services so that people who are not just even after the pandemic, people who are shut in for one reason or another, or people who are out of town or something like that could participate, since it's been such a wonderful thing to be able to participate in this way. Could not any of us be together?
That's a great question.
Thank you, Susan. And I think that one of the things we're trying to do, I mean, there's probably the list of challenges of this time are endless. There's a short list of benefits. Some of our people actually like Zoom meetings. I'll be honest, I like them. I have small children at home, and when I can spend an hour and a half instead of 2 or 2.5 hours and be right there with my children, that makes a difference, and it makes it easier. Some people that don't like to drive at night, it makes meetings more accessible to them. Online worship, I will say, is here to stay for the long term. In whatever format, I'm not sure. Right now, we're tailoring it. For 6 months, we've been tailoring it for people that is their main worship service. So whether that we continue, and that is one of our primary worship services, because it's actually probably the most accessible. It's not accessible to everyone who's not keen on technology, but in terms of the pandemic and health, it will be the most accessible for the longest period of time. And the other thing we know is that into Millbrook's future, reaching new people, being online is key. And all of us here might not like to think about like that online worship or small groups or whatever is the only thing you might ever do. But if that is a way for young people into the future to connect with God, who are we to say they shouldn't do that? So for us to discontinue online worship in some form, whether it's pre-recorded, live stream, whatever, I would do it if that was the will of the church. If that was the will of the church, I think, and then we would have to live with the consequences of that as we look into the future. So that might not be the short answer. And there may be people that are still actively involved in the church that for health reasons or any number of reasons that we don't need to judge, that's the way they want to continue worshiping. Mm-hmm. And I mean, I'm not one to want to ever remove a vehicle for someone to connect with God. So the short answer is I think online worship is here for a very long time, if not forever.
Anyone else with any questions? Well, if not, I would just like to just give a big thanks to the reentry team. They have been working really hard and making some really difficult decisions that affect a lot of people. And we know that the decisions that are made are not going to be the decisions that everyone likes, but as our guiding principle has been that we do no harm and that we worry about our most vulnerable, and that we try to do everything that we can to keep things safe and keep people connected. And that has been our goal. And I want to thank the pastors especially for all of the hard work under this is, this has been new for everybody. And I think they've just done a phenomenal job of keeping all of us connected in one way or another. And I would just personally like to thank them and everyone on this team. Again, thank you all for attending. We will put this recording up. I'll see if Tanner can put it up on the website and get it into maybe Sparks. So that if you want to tell your friends, other congregation members, if they have any questions, we will probably try to offer another FAQ if necessary going forward as we move into the different phases, and to keep, our goal also is to be as transparent and keep everyone updated as to what's happening. And of course, if you ever have any questions, you can direct them to the reentry team. We're happy to meet And I just had a request today that said, hey, would the reentry team be able to consider this? Yes. So you can send them to my email, wendybriley@gmail.com, and I will then forward to the team and we will meet. But again, thank you so much for attending this session, and hopefully we will get to see each other in person. All right, thank you so much. Have a great night.
Thank you, Wendy.
Yes.